All right, welcome back to M3 Podcast. We had a few encounters at the beginning, so now we're after it. But back on the bus, Alex, Dalton, Logan. And today we are talking about the freedom of owning who you are. So once again, our last one was just a 30-minute quick marketing long term, and today we're going to talk about the freedom of owning who you are. So this is something I think it took me a long time to kind of come into a swing of, and I watch a lot of people that I'm around, and there's a lot of people in MMG that I still don't think have came into the full swing of this, and it's a hard thing to see, especially in the front side of it, because I used to be someone that I didn't think I feared much, but I did fear what people thought of me online, and I think breaking into that, I'm going to say the podcast as a whole is kind of my step one. So having that as something that went out and put myself out there on something that I never felt as being a strong speaker or anything, and I was very fearful of it. But first, I want to kind of start off with a story of you being unapologetically yourself and it paying off as a win. So it's, like I said, the podcast, when I started doing the morning stories driving in, that was a big deal for me. So who wants to kick one off with?
That's a tough question.
That is a tough question.
Should have asked us like 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, no time to think about it.
See, no, I like that because it is something that when I write these down, it's funny because when I look at the questions, I just immediately think of like, oh, when we started podcasting, oh, when I started doing the morning stories, oh, the taco reviews, oh, like these things that just started falling into place that as we've progressed, I think I've definitely came into more of my own voice, but it's because of doing things like this.
Yeah, now that we say that, and this might be just because I'm coming off the heels of being at a conference, but just thinking from it in a career sense, my first job right out of college was going to work for a nonprofit leadership development organization, is what I used to tell people, because I was so concerned about, hey, I don't know how this person is going to respond if I tell them I work at a fraternity headquarters. Everyone has different interpretations and perceptions of what a fraternity is. Majority of people are just going off of what they've seen in a TV show or a movie. So
You mean it's not like Animal House all the time?
Yeah, believe it or not. I remember I'd be like out traveling and I'd be in an airport and I'd strike up conversation with somebody and they're like, "What do you do?" And I'd tell them and they're like, "Okay, so you're just the guy that like travels around and like takes keg orders for houses? Like, what does that mean?" I was like, "Wow, not exactly. But yeah, so early on in my career, I was really hesitant to talk about what I did, and it became kind of a conflict because it was like, I see the good work that I do and I'm really proud of it, and it's really developed who I am as a man, who I am as a person, and who I was as part of my career. And eventually, I think I hit that turning point where instead of shying away from it, I leaned into it more. And what happened is that I found that it opened a lot more doors than it closed. I was really concerned that me just being open about what I did and like why I was proud of why I did it, the impact it made. Once I started leaning into it more and just saying like, hey, if you have a misunderstanding or you're uneducated on what an actual organization does at the international level, like, that's okay that you don't know. And then that's what led to me getting opportunities both in my career, moving forward, getting a job opportunities, building connections and networking with people who I had no business sitting at those tables. But those only came because I leaned into those things that I was actually self-conscious about. And I think that just starting to be more confident, and I know what I'm here doing, and I know that I can make a difference on people, and I don't need to shy away from the fact that I do something that not everyone understands what it is.
Yeah. I kind of had a similar thing in the car world when I came out, that right out of college, everyone's going into their jobs that they're using their degrees at, and I go back to the dealership and everyone's like, well, you're just selling used cars. I'm like, I mean, if that's what you think, then great. Which I truly believe that I got to help change 140 people's lives every month.
Right. It's really easy to simplify what people do.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you're the best basketball player in the world. Oh, so you bounce a ball.
Yeah.
Like, well, there's a little more to it than that.
And it really doesn't matter to anybody but yourself.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
Dalton, you got one?
I don't know. Unapologetically myself. I feel like I don't know. I feel like with social and like peer pressure, I'm usually unapologetically myself. Like I don't usually cave to like, oh well, so and so's doing this and so is doing that, so that means like you should probably get on that train and do that. I feel like I've always been pretty steadfast and not being pressured to do something that I don't feel comfortable doing or right doing.
That was one thing that when Dalton and I lived together in college, and one thing that when we became friends that I always admired of Dalton, it was there wasn't pressure that was going to get him to do something.
Yeah.
That it was just like he was going to do it his way, and it was like.
But it's not that I'm like trying to like completely rebel against what other people want to do. I think I just want to feel comfortable in doing what I'm doing, and if I don't want to do it at that time, then.
But sometimes things don't line up with what you're doing, and that's okay. Like, and I think for a long time I thought I had to conform to this idea of what I was supposed to be, and I think that's the thing that held me back the most. And it's like you said, when everyone's going out partying for a night or something, and all those things are happening, it's you want to be that person. You want to be the person that's involved with it all, and sometimes it doesn't align with what your goals are and your vision of life is. And I think when you start becoming really calculated on what that looks like, life gets a lot different really quickly. But Logan, you got one?
Yeah, I would say for me the similar story to Alex's, like beginning of the career deal. I mean, I freshman year of college went to Mizzou, and then made the unpopular decision to come back to Kansas City and go to UMKC. One, from a financial standpoint of not wanting to be in a shit ton of student loan debt. Two, I had a great opportunity to start at Hallmark and to kind of begin learning the business world a little bit. And I knew that I wanted to do business, but I wasn't quite sure what that looked like. So that was definitely a situation where I had made a ton of friends at Mizzou and had a ton of connections in Columbia, and it was kind of hard to walk away from that, but I knew that there was something bigger for me on the other side of that. And then kind of similarly, I would say 4 years later, after graduating and kind of learning what I did at Hallmark and having a great experience there, we weren't quite ready, or MMG wasn't quite to the point to where I could come on yet, but I made the decision to leave Hallmark 4 or 5 months before I actually started MMG. And I kind of made that decision because I knew that it was a situation that I didn't want to be in long term. Like, the career path there was painted for me. Dad worked at Hallmark for 38 years. Grandma worked at Hallmark. Aunt worked at Hallmark. I was set up to be a 45-year career Hallmark lifer, retire and have a great career and climb the corporate ladder. I just knew that that was something that at the end of the day, deep down inside of me, I didn't want to do. So I made the decision just to get out, and I kind of used Sunlight and to learn sales a little bit and as a stepping stone to come into MMG. But there was a lot of people at Hallmark and within my family and friend circle that were like, man, you're leaving a great job. What are you doing? It's like, I know there's something bigger out there. And I knew in the back of my mind that this was going to be the path that I was going to take. But I made that decision a little bit earlier than I had to.
So that leads me into my next point of topic is why people's opinions don't pay your bills. And it's something that I think caring too much about outside judgment keeps you broke, stuck, and unfulfilled. And a lot of people navigate through life letting other people's opinions dictate what their movement looks like every day. And you hear very much from both of those stories that it's your life to live. It's your story you're writing.
It's baked into society with the reality TV culture and social media culture that everything's out there, everything's being judged, and that's constantly what we're doing subconsciously when we look at stuff, when we look at the way athletes live, celebrities live, other people. So people's natural reaction in situations with close people that they're with that aren't popular are to just instantly judge, like, oh man, they bought that car, can they really afford that? Oh, that's a big house for them. you know, that type of stuff. And I don't think people realize that they're doing it, but that's a limited mindset. It's not an abundance mindset. You're judging their situation that you don't even know.
And I had it right when I came out of college, and I was in the car world, and Mass and I buy the new house on the golf course and everything, and it was wild the things that were said about me on Facebook from people that I had talked to for years, that there was multiple people that thought my dad bought my house for me cash. I was like, that is the farthest from the truth. I was like, I put up every penny I had to be able to purchase that house, and it was my dad put great opportunities in front of Dre and I, but we seized those opportunities. And it was there was no help there was no cosigner on my house. There was nothing. That house was purchased. Mass and I went in and we did those things, but it was all this outside chatter and noise about how that went, and because it takes someone else 45 years or at 45 or 50 to be able to buy something like that. I had conversations with family members on Mass's side and my side that were like, are you stepping into too much house? And they're asking those, and I was like, I'll have this conversation one time only. Like, I don't think you understand the amount of money that I'm making. And then after I go over that, they're like, oh yeah, you can afford that. But it's funny how people want to put their 2 cents in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's coming from a good spot. And I was going to talk on the difference between constructive feedback and useless noise, because it is 2 different things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That there is a time for that constructive feedback to say, hey, maybe you are outstepping your bounds of somebody that's close by, that you can have that feedback. But then there is sometimes that if it's somebody that you don't respect or that doesn't want the best for you, that there's a lot of the world that cares more to watch you fall than they care to watch you succeed.
Yeah, and we've all got those people in our lives. Like, for example, you know, when I was leaving Hallmark and leaving Mizzou, like, the person that I talked to about all that stuff is my dad. And, like, I think even within my family, my sister and my mom know that my dad and I have those conversations, and they trust whatever we come up with. I think it's important to realize when people are in those situations in your life, if you're on that other side of the table, are you that person for them, or are you overstepping and giving guidance?
Yeah, and I've struggled a little. I try to teeter the line of, like, I will help people with their finances. I will help people with the steps moving forward. I'll help people with those things. But I've always made it to, like, you have to come to me for it, because I don't want to be that person that's just like balking your ear and like, dude, I don't want to hear it. Mm-hmm. Because I've had those people in my life that are around me that are telling me to do X, Y, and Z. And there's times that I know that I have this part of it figured out and I know what I'm doing, or I think I know what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't. But I don't ever want to be that person. It's like, oh, Dane's always telling me to do whatever it may be, when, my way is people come to me, and if you ask for my help, then I'm more than happy to give it.
Yeah. But I think that's a really good point of, like, that's how you have it in your mindset, how you have it framed up is like, this is when I help, this is when I keep my mouth shut. And we talk a lot about in here recently too, is just mindset and how we frame things, how we frame questions, how we frame conversations. I think it's the same thing here when we talk about other people's opinions don't pay your bills. Like, there's a mindset and a framework that people can choose to look at 2 different ways. And you can look at it in the sense of, hey, everyone's watching me. It's reality TV. Everyone's looking at my social. When in reality, no one cares. Mm-hmm. Like, no one's really paying attention to you. You think that everyone's paying attention to you. You know, I follow 1,200-ish people on Instagram. Do you know how many of them I'm actually paying attention to?
Just Logan?
Just Logan, essentially. Just his.
I've really been letting you down.
But you get the idea, right? Is that everyone's under the impression that the whole world is watching them like they're on reality TV, when in reality, they're not. Yep. Right? So just switching that of, like, no one's really paying attention the way I think they are. And then the same thing, too, with, like, we've talked about it, and I remember, like, Mel Robbins talked about in one of her books. It's the same thing with, like, the mindset of abundance versus whatever the other tagline is. But she would talk about how early on in her career, she'd see somebody get the brand new house, or they'd redo their kitchen, and she'd be sitting there smiling for them, but it was just jealousy seated in her of, why do they get that? Why can't I have that? When you flip that on its head and you say, that is now someone proving that I'm capable of doing it. Dane buys a brand new house. Good. that is him proving to me that it's possible that someone in my circle can succeed like that. You know, hey, Dre just went out and bought a brand new truck. Good. Someone in my circle is proving to me that I'm in the group. I'm on the right path of people who are capable of doing the thing I want to do. So it's when you celebrate those wins of other people, now to me, it's like that's giving me a path of saying it's capable for me, and shifting that and thinking to yourself, hey, I'm not worried about other people's opinions of me because I'm looking at people that are proving to me that it's possible to get where I want to go, even if I'm not there right now.
I look at the world as the world needs more cheerleaders for people succeeding. To Logan's point earlier, when we're watching this reality TV world, we're watching pro athletes. We have no problem when a pro athlete signs a $500 million contract. Everyone's cheering for him. But then when people go and do it in business and everything else, no one's cheering for him.
You're evil.
Exactly.
Absolutely evil. How dare you?
It's funny to me that we've let this entertainment world, that YouTubers that are making just astronomical amount of money, that's normal. When Hollywood does it, and
people look up to him.
They do
as well.
They look up to him, and that is so the likelihood of that becoming a reality for most is very, very, very slim. The likelihood of someone growing in a company and becoming an entrepreneur is a much higher percentage. It is something that you don't have to be gifted with some physical attribute to be able to go be a NFL quarterback. Everyone has a brain between these two ears that you can use.
Yeah.
But I think that goes back to that framework, right? Of when you're an individual contributor, that is where people will celebrate it, right? Like, hey, that person is a movie star or an athlete, right? They see it as that person is not taking advantage of anybody. They're an individual contributor that has this level of talent, and now they're going to win. Good for them. It's the second that you're no longer an individual contributor, and now you are in charge of helping all these other people do stuff. All of a sudden, it's seen as if you are taking advantage of all those people. Not that you are providing the livelihood of all those people, that you're taking care of them, contributing to their families. It's seen as you're taking advantage of all those people. And that's where all of a sudden, once it hits business world, you're the devil.
And it's the misconception, the lack of knowledge in our world of why a lot of things happen in business, that there's tax codes and there's tax things that are put in place to drive businesses to spend more money, that those tax codes that are put in place to buy more vehicles, to incentivize a business to buy vehicles every single year, helps stimulate the market. It keeps the market moving. It's so they give businesses all these opportunities to write things off, instead of saying, okay, they're just going to stockpile all their money and they're going to put it into a savings account. If all business owners just started stockpiling all their money and not putting it out back into the market, our economy goes.
Yeah.
But that's not, you have to think at the...
For those listening to the audio version, that was a downward whistle.
and that's the thing, that the people that are pissed off at Jeff Bezos for having a wedding in Venice and being successful and all this shit, like, it's just a victim mentality, right?
Exactly.
Like, there's no actual conceptualization in their head of what it actually takes to make that happen, or how the world and economy, economics, or business works. They're mad at something just to be mad at something because they hate the position that they're in life. It's really a sad thing to see, that people hate their life so much that they go through that.
Looking up how many jobs Amazon provides.
I think it's like 183,000.
Amazon employs 1.56 million.
1.56 million employees.
Yep.
Probably contractors too.
Indirectly.
Vendors, contractors.
Yeah. U.S.-based employees, 1.1 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mouths to feed. A lot of people.
He owns
for their families.
13% of Amazon. To build something like that, and the infrastructure and the operations and everything to make that a reality, like the amount of people now that have a place to work and they have an opportunity to go grow within this ecosystem. But once again, that people want to look because someone else becomes successful, they can't. And I think that is what holds more people back than anything else. Logan becomes wildly successful in whatever he does. I'm going to be the first one that's cheering for him. Like you're saying, someone in your circle can do it. Like all these different, like when we're buying stocks around the office, we're buying crypto, we're doing all these different things. Like I enjoy talking about those things. I enjoy like when one of them, somebody hits on it, it's not like, oh, wow, fuck them, they got a hit on it, I didn't.
Right. Rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Getting a little off topic though.
I
Yeah.
mean, everybody's has confirmation bias too. They want to
Yes.
confirm what they're doing is correct. That's like everybody that had been at Hallmark for 40 years when I was leaving. They felt like they weren't confirming that they made the right decision watching me not make that same decision. So,
So that I'm gonna piggyback off that into turning criticism into fuel, and this is transforming external negativity into internal drive. So this is, most people I feel receive that negativity and they shut down. They've been posting, they've been doing whatever it may be. They get that external negativity, and then they take that and they say, "Hey, I'm making the wrong move. I'm doing the wrong thing." So they shut down. They revert back. I think that's that fight or flight mode that happens. I'm somebody, I love the negativity that comes our way. I love when people talk shit on what we do. I live for it. Because go look at the people that are talking. Every single one of them, the jealousy level is off the chart. It fuels me to even be more in their face. Towards that fight or flight, like, you could take that flight mode and say, "Hey, we're revert back. We're not doing that now. People were mean to us on the internet. People said they didn't like it." Or we say, "Double down, let's go fight against it." So I think having that mindset to transition that into a fuel for you, that I run with a big chip on my shoulder. Like, people telling us we can't do something. You want to know the fastest way to make me more successful? Tell me I can't fucking do something. Please. But I live for that every day. But it's like, I live for making the people that stand around me more successful, because people said that wasn't possible. The people that from the outside, the people that have been internal, all the way across, it said, okay, those people will never be successful. I'm like, watch me make them super successful. And then they have to sit and they have to watch that. I mean, there was a point that when we worked in the basement, nobody that worked in the basement with me owned a house. Now they all own houses, and I'm watching families get developed now. I'm watching like all these things happen. I'm like, that's what fuels me so much, is watching this drive of all the things around. But on social, what we have to put out there is the new cars, the flashy stuff, the things that the internet wants to see. That's what the internet craves. That's what drives people, buys into the system. But those are all things I don't really care about. Those are things those don't give me some crazy new excitement. Picking up a new car, not a lot of excitement. Picking up a new truck for Alex, that was the most exciting vehicle I've bought in a while. Like, getting Dre a new truck, most exciting thing I've done. Like, buying watches for the basement group. Like, if I had one of my biggest accolades to this point, it's that. Like, the cars and all that shit can go. That's not going to change a happiness level. That's not going to change a level, but it's like that chip on my shoulder to make everyone successful. That's what the vision, that long-term vision is a group of people that have all made it.
and that the long-term vision is the thing that people lack. I think Alex Hormozy said people way overestimate what they can achieve in 1 month, but way underestimate what they can achieve in 1 year. Like, you don't realize that nobody starts thinking it's going to take them 1,000 Instagram posts to get to where they want to get to, or whatever, in their business or personal page. Then it's really easy to quit when you thought it was going to happen in 30 posts in the first 30 days, when after the 10th one, it's not happening. When you think that it's going to take 365 posts and 10 in, you're not seeing it. It's like, okay, I'm 1% of the way to where I told myself I was going to go. Even if I've made 1% improvement, if I've gone from 100 views to 110 views, that's better.
Yeah. But there's always front side. You're gonna post 30 times. There's gonna be somebody that, oh, they post all the time, they don't get any views.
Yeah.
There's gonna be somebody out there that wants to bitch about it because they're not doing it at all, and now they're jealous that you are taking the movement to do it.
One of my favorite quotes was that even Jesus Christ could walk on water. Someone's gonna say, "Look at him, he can't swim." Right?
Yeah.
Like, someone's always gonna have something negative to say. I remember I used to go and I'd travel the country. I'd give presentations. At the end of them, there's always an opportunity for people to provide feedback. Right? They fill out a survey, they rank it. I'd have 50 people on there, 48 people. oh, that was so great. I learned so much. This was so impactful. It was the 2 that had something smart to say that stuck with me, right? It set aside the 48 other people that gave me compliments on how great it was.
Yep.
It was the 2 people that stuck with me. But what happens through that is like you start to build a thicker skin, and then you start to move forward with it, and you start to understand that there's always going to be somebody that has something negative to say, but that only happens when you're doing something worth talking about. If you're not doing something worth talking about, then no one's going to talk about it, right? It's because you're doing something, you're putting yourself out there, you're taking a risk, you're making an effort, and most likely the person that's negative is doing none of those things. And it just goes back to that, what frame of mind, what mindset were they in when they had something to say? And they're probably just a little in probably a bad spot in their head to come out and have something to say about you.
Yeah, and it's hard to get out of that because the media focuses on it so heavily.
Absolutely.
An example of this is Ichiro just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame. I didn't hear one sports media agency talking about him getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. It was them only talking about the one person that didn't vote for him to be in and that he wasn't unanimous, which that is bullshit.
Yeah,
he should have been
right.
unanimous. But that was the only thing that was talked about, was the fact that he was not unanimous, not that he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And that's my last topic is the myth of likability and success. And it's why trying to be liked by everyone is a losing game. And this is something that, as we've progressed, we've become more polarizing in the space. And trying to own the whole market, trying to get everyone, like Alex was saying, when you're talking on something that's worth talking about, there's going to be people on both sides of the fence. You have to understand that when you start talking on those things, that there's going to be people that disagree. There's going to be people that agree. But you have to be willing to step into that, that look at it on the grandest top scale, that when somebody runs for president, 50% of the country, no matter what, hates him. Either side of the fence. Like, they walk into that guaranteed that 50% of everyone hates them. To where we start becoming polarizing in market, you start owning an audience, you start building this group around you that truly backs you, where most of the time when somebody's trying to own all of market, not willing to talk about anything that creates any movement, they're not talking about something that's worth listening to.
Do you think it gets easier or harder as time goes on and both of those camps grow to block out the negativity? When you've got more people cheering for you in your corner, but you've also got more people hating on you.
I would say where I'm at right now personally, I feel like it's gotten easier, but then I also watch it on a really big scale of people that I'm also not like walking outside and there are like 50 paparazzis trying to like ask me like 5,000 questions before I get in my car, that I watch celebrities like just come unglued, that like there comes to a point that the negative could grow so big that it might be hard to block out at a point. Like when you start having another really successful person, like fortunately, like where we're at now, we don't have like really successful people like saying, hey, you guys are doing shit wrong. Like the successful people are like, you guys are doing the right things. Right. The people that are balking and saying negative things towards us, quite frankly, they're clowns. Like just as a group of a whole, like what they're saying has no validity to it.
Yeah.
It's just, they don't like us because we're winning. To where there's not like a hard takeaway from that. But then like I look at a Patrick Mahomes that became great. Once you become great, I mean, his first couple of years, the whole country loved him. Then all of a sudden he starts winning Super Bowls, and then now all of a sudden the whole country hates him except for Kansas City. To where now it's like, I'm watching stuff that the media targets Britney like crazy now. They target all this like, so it's, I do fear that in the future, like getting to a point that people start going after my wife and start going after my family and things like that on an internet side, that I don't know how I handle that.
Yeah. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
It is.
Well, and that's the thing too, though, is that is the path you choose, right? If you want to be content, I'm gonna go get this job, clock in at 9, clock out at 5, keep my head down. Like, that's your decision, and you can do that and live a great life doing that. But if you choose a different path, where you're saying, hey, I want to make some noise and I'm going to build a business, and to be successful, we are going to put our stake in the ground and say, this is where we are. And we've talked about this before. In no way am I the, like, loud, flashy, like, person whatsoever that is the MMG brand by any means, but I will be the first one to tell you that, like, that is our brand. We've committed to it, and we need to double down on that every time, because that is what wins. And not being upset when someone doesn't like it, not being upset that it's going to turn some people off. That's what you are expecting, and that's what wins. And again, it's a lot easier to take that criticism when you're succeeding. And crazy enough, it was weird that it happened, but literally last night I was talking to an Olympian hurdle competitor. She competed in the hurdles for Canada, and I mentioned to her, I was like, oh yeah, and by the way, like, I ran hurdles in high school. Your boy hit those hurdles and took a fall many times. And she mentioned, she's like, wow, I'm really glad that no one had film of me when I was in high school and middle school doing the hurdles, because there would be so many viral clips of me just eating it time after time in all these different meets. And I would get so much criticism. And I'm like, you'd have one canned response to all that criticism every time. And you'd say, I'm an Olympian. Like, that's it, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, there's no criticism that can take away from the fact that she's an Olympian. And, like, that's what's going to happen, right? Is it the higher stage you get on, the more noise you make, the bigger impact you have. Of course, that's always going to come with the negativity. People are going to look for reasons to be mad about your success. And if you want to be an Olympian, you're signing up for the fact that there's going to be people, because you're on that stage, that are going to have something to say. But again, she could have just never ran track and been content with never being a competitor. She decided she wanted to be a competitor, and now she's going to live the rest of her life saying, I was an Olympian.
Yeah. And I think finding that success along the way, it's, you hit stages of it that it's, early on you have kind of that imposter syndrome. So I think it's really difficult to hold that just unwavering confidence at that time.
Of course.
And then as you start progressing, it was something like early days that we would cross partnership with a bad business owner. And I'm like trying to reconstruct our whole entire business model, because I think our business model is wrong. And as we've progressed, I'm like, you know what, 5% of companies we take on just aren't going to be our cup of tea. There's people that they don't focus on their operations at all. They don't focus on their sales. They don't focus on their accounting. They don't focus on all the things that they're supposed to as a company. They don't have any culture to their business. They don't have, and they think that they're going to pay some marketing firm that changes everything for them. And it's like, that's not our client. I don't want to partner with that person. And we've came to the spot that we don't have to take that partnership anymore. We can read through the lines now. We say, hey, that's a broken business. It's falling apart in every different vertical. Let's just stay away from it. Because then we have the companies that come our way that have great culture, that have a great sales team, that have training in place, that have the accounting side put in place. They have CPAs. They're caught up on their taxes and all these different
And
things.
they know who they are.
Exactly. So it makes the marketing piece actually a lot easier, where sometimes we're starting from ground zero, trying to kind of help them find their voice, but they know what they want. And I think for a while I didn't know what I wanted with this. I knew that that North Star was always there, but I didn't know what that voice was supposed to be. That the car world always hid everything that was happening. No one knew about, like, that. The house got a lot of negative feedback because it was one post about when Mass and I bought it. It was like our post of, I was holding Mass and I was snowing and stuff in front of the house, and it got all this negative feedback because we're 21, 22 years old. But then after that, like, nobody ever knew. Like, when people asked me about where I lived, most of the time that I told them I was by Target, and they're like, oh, in the apartments? I'm like, Like, and I was so reserved because I was so, like, I thought me having nice things wasn't being humble. I was like, I need to be more humble about, like, the movement of things. But then as we've progressed on the marketing forefront, the flash things are what deter those shitty business owners. The losing business owner sees those, and they get jealous, and they get bent out of shape. And it's the perfect deterrent of those people. It has worked so foolproof in the whole thing that and I think we kind of did it by mistake. I did it with big investors that have money up in MMG that they're like, you need to be more flashy. I'm like, I don't know, like push more of it out there. It will turn away the wrong people.
We had a client on board. So this is pretty funny now that you're talking about this. They were like, man, I used to hate seeing your guys' stuff. And I would see it all the time, and I just get so annoyed, and I tried to block you, and you would still show up. He's like, you know what? So finally, I said one day, you know what? If I can't get away from them, I might as well join them because they're doing something right because I can't get away from them.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, they ended up being a client. So,
But watching those people, the one thing that they will always say is, you guys are the most consistent out there. Consistency wins the game.
Can't argue that.
I'm like it, and I tell every business owner, I go, if you want to compete against one thing that I will tell you that the MMG team comes with that's beyond ruthless is you want to compete with us on consistency, I will step into that arena every single day with this MMG team. Yeah. The people that speak on us and that want to say negative things, and they have no consistency. They bounce from idea to idea for maybe a week or two. They have nothing going for them. So what their idea is, let's go attack the person that is doing it. Let's attack the team that is making it happen.
Yeah, I think there's a really good book, Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. Ryan Holiday has a lot of good books out, but I really like this one because he talks about ego and how it can be a barrier for companies, but how there is a distinct line between confidence and ego, right? Ego being the idea of, hey, I'm so good at this thing that I couldn't get any better and no one could ever be better than me. And then that's when you get passed up. And I think that there are people or companies, and I think of a few specifically, that they don't outwardly show their ego, but I see it to where they have an ego in the way that they run their business, in the sense of like they've got it figured out and this is how things are done. And if you do anything differently, then you're an idiot and you're wrong. And then all of a sudden someone does it differently and now they're getting passed up. But because they don't outwardly speak on their ego, or they don't outwardly show their ego, and they post or they share, or their website has a humble tone to it, you can have a humble tone, but you run your business with an ego, and your ego is saying we do it right and anyone who does it differently is doing it wrong. And because they're new or they're causing waves in the market, they don't know what they're talking about, right? So like I would say with us, we're flip-flop of that.
Yep.
In the sense that people see the way we communicate and they see the messaging we put out, and people, like you just said, think that comes with a place of ego. What that is it's two things. It's A, confidence, and B, putting our foot in the ground and saying this is where we are branding wise. This is how we're going to brand ourselves, and we are going to consistently show up that way, the same way we're going to do that for our clients. It's not that all of our clients need to mirror the way that we message, and we make sure that a lot of our clients have messaging that's nowhere near ours because it doesn't fit their business model. But that comes from a place of confidence, not ego. Because I will say that, like, while we are extremely confident, the ego sense that in the idea of like we got it all figured out, we know what we're doing, everyone else does it wrong, and we're the only ones who do it right, is not the case, because we are innovating and challenging each other within these walls daily, which is why there is no ego there. That's why it's all growth mindset. So I think that's the part when I hear that about the external view of things where I see the clash of ego versus confidence and how it's portrayed.
Yeah, I had a meeting a couple weeks ago. A guy, we met for like an hour, we get done. And he goes, to be honest, and one of the sales reps over at the sales office set it up. He goes, look at your stuff. He goes, I actually thought you were going to be really egotistical. And he goes, after our meeting, he goes, you're just unwavering. Like, he goes, your confidence level and what you're doing is, he goes, because I was telling him, like, our marketing team way outperforms myself. Like, they've surpassed me. The content team has surpassed me. Sales team is surpassing me. Like, all these different things. I'm like, I don't need to be the best guy in the room. If I'm the best guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I did a terrible job bringing people on and building a team. But most people run with the ego, and the ego is what holds them back more than anything. You can have crazy confidence, and my confidence continues to elevate as everyone around me continues to progress forward. When you're moving 40 plus people forward and they're moving 1% better every single day, yeah, my ego, or not my ego, my confidence is getting wild. Like, when I go in somewhere now all of a sudden it's not like my confidence is just from me.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
not a false sense of confidence because we're actually capable and competent to do the things that we say
Yeah.
we're going to do.
so now I have like a 40x confidence on what I'm doing. I'm like, so now it's getting a little out of control, but I watch the team make it happen over and over, and I hear the feedback from clients over and over about how great so and so, and like watching it all happen, and it's cool to sit back and move that ego back and say, hey, this isn't why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But then you challenge one another. That's why we have a leadership meeting every week. Challenge everything that we're doing,
Absolutely.
because you have to do those things. But no, I think this is a topic that people need to be speaking on just as a whole. And don't fear what other people think of you. There's a freedom of owning who you are, and be unapologetically yourself. Any final thoughts? It's pretty quick. That's M3 Podcast. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the M3 Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Want to learn more? Check us out on Instagram at Moss Marketing Group, on Facebook at Moss Marketing 58, or on our website at mossmarketinggroup.com.